Sucks that it's raining.
Yeah, well that he's all the way down there. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll walk. Alright guys, it's the beginning of April and we are receiving an exotic car. It's kind of hard to tell from here. All the way in from California. Really excited about this upcoming project. We know for a fact it's getting a TL70. We're doing a complete painless harness. We're going to do speed huts. We're going to do a bunch of stuff to it. And possibly more. He's open to suggestions, so. Morning!
Looks like you guys came up together. Good morning.
Pretty car. We are really excited about this one. All right. I don't have the gimbal on me because it's a last minute, but so what's up with the angle kit? Did the tow truck driver screw it up?
Yeah, he just said that they, whenever it got dropped off and everything, he said one of the last tow truck drivers, not this one, but one of the last ones.
Yeah, you guys put it in 4x4.
The caliper's unbolted and it's hitting the wheel.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna take that wheel off this caliper. Hell yeah.
That's cute.
Because he was telling us whenever he dropped it, I remembered it just a minute ago, but he was saying it sometimes sticks and to pump the pedal.
Fab work.
I don't care. It's a BMW. We're not allowed to touch those.
Hey man, you're being a toxic coworker.
Yeah, sorry, a little shady.
Hey, it spins.
Yeah, it rotates down.
Man, I thought I was gonna get it being dragged across the E46 in for downpipe fab. Possibly some intercooler fab, depending on how much he wants to spend with us.
Okay, what you got? Not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. But yes.
Ooh, downpipe.
A few moments later.
All right. Yeah, it looks good. So this guy towed this car in for downpipe fabrication and wastegate fab, or just a dump tube, so this is what Bo came up with. Yeah, it looks good. Turn the light on.
That glare's a little rough right now.
That's fine with the light.
Good?
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna be happy. Yeah, it looks way better than the pictures he sent us of what he wanted.
That's good. I
think I could have potentially put this up here, but it would have been really tight.
Yeah.
Because the angles, it would have thrown the angle off, and it either would have hung down low, or something would have been off. But
all right, cool.
He has a locking nut, and I hate.
Oh yeah, because it'll strip.
They strip them, so I left it loose, but it's there. That's what I came with.
Yeah, make sure to let him know when he picks up.
Chris is raging, working on the Buick Encore. Turbo no good. The exhaust housing is basically cracked in half. Yeah, that whole section right here by the wastegate is like mega cracked on that turbo, so it's getting a new one.
It's a giant mega crack.
Yeah, that's not good for the boost. No good.
Alrighty, I am finishing up this L30ET stroker. I had the bottom end already fully clearanced, but I was waiting on these billet aluminum oil spray bars to show up, which they're here now. I had to order like 5 of them because I got a bunch of motors that are getting them. But they're really nice to have for aftermarket cams. You can usually get away with the factory ones, but they're not exactly the best compared to the aftermarket billet ones, and on top of that, you can't clean them. You know, so if you get catastrophic engine failure like this one, I gotta throw it away. And they also act kind of as a limiter for rocker arms flying off. Anyway, so I just finished all of the piston ring end gaps. I've already got them on the pistons. I've got all of my clearances documented here. Ring gaps documented. I got all my rods ready to go. So I'm getting ready to start putting some piston and rod combos in and get this rotating assembly done. So this is actually my first time doing spiral locks. These are a pain in the ass. They're kind of like little mini springs, and you spread them to feed them into the piston groove to hold the pin in place. So that was my first one. 5 more. I got all the piston pins, rods, and everything in, so I can start lubing up the rod bearings, lubricate all the piston holes, clean them up one last time, and start slamming some stuff in. I don't know if I talked about it specifically, but this engine block has the Jeff Priddy gasket mod profile on this, where it allows for additional cooling channels. So there's additional holes here, around the exhaust ports, and then these teardrop shapes are matched to the cylinder head so that you have better flow promotion and heat removal. Okay, so this is my first time working with spiral locks, and I'm glad I called Ross Racing and asked, because you're supposed to double stack them on each side. So that would explain why I have a bunch of extras. Yeah, I'm really glad I asked instead of just assuming and putting it together. So I'm gonna put the extra sets in now, and then I'm ready to put this thing together. Of course, I forgot to film me pushing all the pistons in and torquing all the rods, but they're in. All the pistons are on. Rods torqued to spec. But here's that Priddy head gasket, the Jeff Priddy design. And you can see the additional cooling ports. So these do not exist on the factory head gasket. And these teardrops in the block also don't exist. So that's real nice for additional cooling capacity. So I am mocking this up right now, and getting ready to put the cylinder head on. So these are available on our website, as well as the machining services as well. You know, if you want to ship us your block and head, we can do the CNC machining for the coolant jackets. We can also deck and mill your block and head. We can do a whole engine build, whatever. But those services are all available on our website. All right, I'm getting ready to put on the Priddy head gasket. And there are a couple of things that y'all should be aware of if you're doing a Priddy head gasket. So, first of all, corrosion on the cylinder head, I can't do anything about, but what I can do is fill these with a little bit of sealant. I use Toyota FIPG. That seems to be about the industry best. It's the best I have personally worked with, better than Wright stuff. So if you don't have corrosion, this doesn't apply to you, but if your head's corroded, in very rare circumstances, you can allot a little bit of some type of form-in-place gasket or other sealant. Don't use RTV, either use Toyota FIPG. One area of note, and I also spoke with Jeff, the designer of this gasket. See that little recess there? It's just a part of the head casting that the gasket sort of doesn't fully cover, and the gasket's also not embossed in that area. So, same gig, Jeff suggested a little bit of sealant there. It's gonna be your best bet. It's just a coolant jacket. Now, an area that you never want to use sealant on is gonna be the fire ring. So you should never, on anything that holds compression, obviously sealant is a no-no. But for just doing basic coolant jackets, things like that, it'll work just fine. Ain't nothing wrong with doing it that way. I'm gonna go get my tube of FIPG and start getting the sealant working on these so that I can get this gasket on. You also want to check your block. If your block has any corrosion, this one looks pretty good. Those are also areas to be of concern. Caleb, can you give me a quick hand with this? I need you to help me guide this gasket on, or not the gasket, the head on, because I have sealant in several areas. Because the head is a little pitted, and also like some of the casting is a little, doesn't line up exactly where it needs to. Yeah, something I'd actually talked to Jeff about. And that was his solution. So maybe you want to grab the ass end of the head, see where I have sealant.
Yeah, I'm trying not to cut myself.
Yeah.
Great with it.
Yep. I'll work at your pace because I got the easy side. All right, I'm in. And they're new dowel pins, so they're probably gonna be a little tight.
Maybe smack a little bit. There it is.
Cool. Thank you. All right, we got 40 foot-pounds for now, temporarily holding it. I got some cam towers to clean up and get them on the cylinder head so that we can get this cam in timed. And this stroker engine's also getting a hog-ass Schneider turbo cam. I call it the quote-unquote stage 4, but it's basically the most aggressive turbo cam that you can get without being full race. And even then, it's still pretty race car. It's the same cam that Bo has. So it's meant for bigger turbos. It really fills the cylinders with air. So you can ingest as much air from the turbo as you can. So yeah, it's gonna be great. So right now I'm putting the dowel pins back in. Honestly, doing a lot of these L series builds every year, sometimes I feel like all the cylinder head final assembly stuff takes just as long as the bottom end stuff. I'm going to lubricate every fastener with ARP lube and all the other stuff that comes along with it. And then I got to measure the cam, I got to dial it in. Yeah, this stuff is time consuming if you want it done right. It's a very meticulous job. Both Caleb and Bo know how to do this stuff as well, but most of the time I'm the only one doing it because they are busy with project cars. And that's just how it goes. Until I can afford to pay a dedicated engine builder. And the other part of that equation too, I've talked about it before in previous vlogs, but if you're just now watching this, I'm also the master tech in the shop. I'm also sometimes the shipping manager. I'm also the detail guy. I do a lot of things. I wish all I had to do was work on cars and engines all day, but that's the downside of owning a small business, is you wear many, many hats. So unfortunately, I can only devote so much of my time to each task at a time. And so certain things just happen to drag behind sometimes. This engine is no exception. Running very late on it, but that's how it goes sometimes. Oh, you dumbass, use the right socket. That's just how it goes sometimes. But it may take a while, but you'll still get a quality product. That's all that matters. ARP calls for 60 foot-pounds. All right, there's 20. Here's 40. And here is 60. Cam is there was a, I'm not gonna, and then you can see problem here. So there was delayed sellers.
So this one's not this is
the lash pads I needed, I did not have in stock. So I had to get those ordered out of Australia. So I got the correct thickness lash pads. I got a variety of different sizes and thicknesses, so that way I can just dial it in as needed. There have been a few times where I've had to use different thickness lash pads across the same cam. I'm assuming just due to variances in the base circle size when they do these cam regrinds. So I'm gonna get working on getting the correct lash pads in now. And then once I get the white pattern dialed in, I will degree the cam and we can assemble this baby for good. Got us some mail from Australia. Let's see if they are the sizes that I need. If you're watching this video and you are looking for a specific size lash pad, feel free to reach out to us because there is a slim chance that I may have it. I run a pretty open exchange with this company out of Australia that we work with, and so you can go to them directly, but you'll have to wait versus like I have these in stock ready to go. So if you're looking for a specific size lash pad, reach out to us. So I think I was gonna do a 600 or 625, and I'm going in metric because that's how I receive them out of Australia. So if you hear me say 575 or 600, what that means is a 5.75 millimeter thickness or 6.0 millimeter thickness. There are some manufacturers that will offer SAE sizes. Like I have a set from Iski here that's lightly used, came out of Avery's, we had to readjust the wipe pattern. 260 thousandths, which equates to about 6.6 millimeters, so it's kind of an in-between size. So what I'm going to do now, the way you check the wipe pattern is you have a freshly machined rocker. You want to color the friction pad. I call it a friction pad, it's not a friction pad. The contact surface. You can do this with Prussian blue. Prussian blue is a lot more expensive than a pack of Sharpies. So, color it in with Sharpie. Basically, you adjust your lash pad thickness. And what that does is it changes where, at your correct valve clearance, how it wipes the cam. So, you know, if this is too tall and your valve clearance is like this, and the cam wipes, it's going to favor this. If it's too tall, it's going to favor the backside. So the idea is you want it as close to wiping in the center as possible. And so since this is adjustable, that's your rocker arm pedestal, the only other adjustment you have is your lash pad thickness. So that's what we're working on now. We're also working on #1 intake, because that's also what I need to do to degree to the cam. So basically what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to get a good wipe out of the intake lobe on cylinder #1. And once I verify that the wipe pattern is good, I will move on to degreeing the cam, because it's dependent on your wipe pattern. If your wipe pattern is off, your cam pattern is going to be off as well. So you have to set that first. If you don't set it first, everything else downstream is going to be off. Typically on factory cams, I think the intake is 8 thousandths, and the exhaust is 10 thousandths, but this is a Schneider Stage 4 turbo cam, so we're targeting 10 thousandths actually.
Is this the same Stage 4 cam the boat has?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I sold like 4 of them. So this one's getting it, Morse has it,
Yep.
I have one, and now Bo. Sitting on the bench. Rotate the engine a couple of times to get a good wipe. And you do this with your valve clearance set. So we know that the valve clearance needs to be 10 thousandths, so it's set at 10 thousandths. Now we're going to bring the adjustment back down so that we can get the rocker arm out. This tool came from Right Hand Drive Japan. It's a Kamiari rocker arm removal tool, and it speeds up this process. It's a really nice tool to have for doing these wipe patterns and other adjustments, or even just valve seals. Okay, so you can see the wipe we have is fairly close to being centered, but we're still favored back here, which means that this could come up a little bit. So I started with a 600, so we're going to go up to 625 and see if it brings it a little bit closer to where it needs to be. And so every time you check the wipe, you want to clean it off, start over fresh, because you know there could be some assembly oil or lube. You don't want to do this with assembly lube. It's just going to kind of screw your readings. You know, you're not really rotating this thing enough times to really harm it. But you just want to put a fresh contact patch every time. Start over. I'm going to go ahead and wipe the cam down too. Something else to consider too is if you machine these rocker arms, so we send them in mass and get them machined. So it's not uncommon for me to machine 5-10 sets of rocker arms at a time. So it is possible that you could get a mismatched set every now and then. And so that's also where having multiple lash pads is very helpful, because if I have one that's slightly mismatched, I can just account for it with a slightly thicker or thinner lash pad, and then document it on the build sheet so that the customer is aware. All right, let's see how a 625 does. I think we're right on the money here. Now, if you're having an L series engine built and you really want to know whether your engine builder is doing you a service or a disservice, you need to be asking questions like, are you going to verify white pattern, things like that. There we go, right on the money. So 625 at least on cylinder number 1 intake. So yeah, if you are having an engine built and it's a performance L series engine, your engine builder needs to be taking this into consideration. And if he's not, you need another engine builder. Or you need to educate your engine builder that this is an expectation that needs to be met. And they may be fully capable of doing it. They just may not have ever done an L series or had done one at this caliber. So it's all stuff that you need to make sure you discuss with your builder. We have had multiple Z's come in with an aftermarket cam, and they just tossed all the factory stuff back in, and you'd be amazed at the amount of hellacious noises that these things can and do make, because proper procedures can make or break an L series engine. And this is one of those many examples, because now that I have the white pattern verified, I'm going to move on to degreeing the cam. If you don't do this in this specific order, the entire engine will be off. This is a crucial step. White pattern is a verification of Valvetrain geometry, and if the geometry is wrong, the timing is wrong. Let's degree a cam. There is going to be a certain degree of setup here. I've got to put a pedestal for our dial indicator. That's step 1. Step 2 is we got to mount our degree wheel. And this is just a generic Summit Racing brand degree wheel. Alright, well that was cool. The battery died. So anyways, got the degree wheel mounted, our timing pointer mounted. See that timing pointer. So the next step is going to be, we need to find true TDC. And the way you do that is with a cylinder stop, piston stop. So this threads all the way in. You want to make sure you're not already at TDC. So you thread the spark plug sleeve all the way in. Then you thread your stopper in. And so from here, we're gonna go one direction till we find till we find the stop. You want to be a little gentle, don't go crazy. You want to beat the shit out of your piston. Okay, so that's right there. And then you mark where it landed. So we are at 134. Then we're going to go the opposite direction. Till it stops. And that mark is going to be 171. And so what you're going to do now is your 2 marks that you made, you're going to find the halfway point. So we're just going to count it. It's the only way to, really the only way to do it is just count them. So you're going to count how many marks there are. You're going to start with your first mark. So that counts as 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 10, 5, yeah, 56 marks. And so you divide that number in half. So that puts you at 28. So now you make a new mark at 28. So at your 28th mark, make a little arrow or something, and that is going to be your true TDC. And so you can see what's going to happen is we're going to sneak up on that piston stop mark, right? See right there. That's our piston stop mark. So now we're going to remove the piston stop. And we're going to line it up with our true TDC mark. And then the last step, this is where an impact gun really helps. Loosen that up, and you line it up to 0. You hold it in place and jam it tight. So now we have true TDC dialed in, and from here we can start to do our intake centerline method. So next I'm going to get the dial indicator up on. So according to our cam card, we want to degree the intake lobe to 112 degrees. So we're going to get our dial indicator mounted. And what you want to do is you want to bring this gauge down to where it reads 0 at max lift. All right, let's see if I can get a better viewpoint on what we're trying to achieve here. So with intake centerline method, what you do is you rotate the cam all the way to max lift. And you want to set your 0. I'll get the slack out of the chain. Okay, so that's max lift. What you want to do is you want to dial it to 50 thousandths before and after max lift. It's a little hard to, it's real easy to skip over it. Okay, so that's 50 thousandths one way. So what we need to do is we read our degree. So we're at 156. So we're going to write this down. Now we're going to go the opposite direction. Find our max lift. Go 50 thousandths back the other way. Just gotta kind of sneak up on it. You should probably have a longer wrench. That would also help with let me do that real quick. Get some more leverage there. Make some finer adjustments. And bring it to 50 thousandths the other way. And so we are at, call it 72 and a half. So you write that measurement down. You take your calculator, got 156 plus 72 and a half, you divide that by 2. That's your intake centerline angle. So we want to be at 112, so that means we need to, I always forget which direction we need to go. So I'll just pick one tick mark, go that way, and see if that gets us closer to where we need to be, and if it goes further, then we go the opposite direction. Let's go one tick mark. And 70 and a half to 71. So let's see what that equates to. It's pretty damn close. I think if we called it 71, so I'm coming in at 111 and 3/4. So if we just call it 71 degrees, we are degreed at 112. Not bad for 2 tries. Okay. Well, we are degreed. Let's go ahead and do the rest of the white pattern now. Get all the white patterns verified. 1 and 2 I've already cleaned up because I originally was going to leave it in the engine, but then I forgot I've got to put this high pressure lube. They have a really, really high pressure lubricant that you put on all of the friction surfaces of the cam, so rockers, lash pads, cam lobes, everything. I have documented all of the lash pad thicknesses. They have all been verified. So I'm going to go clean up the valve cover real quick. So that way, once I have all of the cam and Valvetrain stuff finalized, I can put the valve cover on to keep stuff from getting on top of it. Alright, we are fully timed, white pattern checked, valve clearance is set. This cam calls for 10 and 12 on the intake and exhaust respectively. It's another view of the beautiful CNC machine work by L-Spec Dotson. So yeah, we stick the valve cover on to protect it, but we're damn near done. This is my homie Jackson from junior high and high school, getting a set of Bilsteins up front and replacement Ford control arms. Caleb is almost done with it. He's been struggling with it most of the day because these can be a pain in the ass when you're mixing and matching stuff, especially with non-adjustable control arms. So he's finishing up that. And then Bo is working on a bunch of bolt-ons for a Q60. No, Q50. So this is owned by the guy that owns that same color 370Z that we did a bunch of bolt-ons to. And so now he's in for the 4-door version, doing a full exhaust from AMS. That's AMS exhaust, which most of it's already on. We've got a rear diffuser somewhere that we've got to get permission to drill a few holes in. And he's working on intakes and an upgraded auxiliary cooler from AMS as well. Yeah, it looks good.
So the way I did it is I basically removed like this whole front end, the crash bar and support and everything, and then removed the washer fluid and slid it out from the side. You have to remove the bracket and everything for crash support. And I let this kind of come out a little bit and then slid it all the way in and out. That's how I did it. Because the front core support is all one piece and there's a big ass bar that goes top to bottom, so you can't just in and out.
Finally pulling the probe in to drop the motor down to change the head gaskets and look for warpage.
That's gonna be in your shots.
I think we also need to figure out, he's got a couple of fans in here, but apparently it wasn't enough to keep it from overheating.
There's only one fan.
Yeah, one big fan. But there's nothing up front, so I feel like you could probably add a couple of pushers.
Yeah, it needs something for that side, because there's nothing on that side.
Like all this, you know, I feel like he's not getting enough heat abatement. Like it might be a good idea to have the exhaust stuff ceramic coated while it's apart. Pain in the ass so far?
Not really. Ooh.
The junk in there? What the hell is that? Hold on, let me turn on the light. Yeah, that's, no wonder it overheated.
Yeah.
What is that?
This is the coolant.
No, I know, what is that, electrical tape or?
No, I think it's this coating.
Why is it on the inside?
I don't know.
Nice. Yeah, I bet that's why it overheated, because it's got...
It's all in the radiator now.
So it's going to need a radiator, too.
Probably.
Damn.
Well, you don't know till you know.
Yeah, here, let me snap a picture for him. You shine your light in there. Well, it's out. Now you can just work on it right here.
Yeah. If we really want to, we can push this over. We can clear out right here. Push this over at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Car. It is still dripping, so
that's fine. Yeah, just you know.
Yeah. I don't want a valve cover off.
Yeah. So the main concern is we need to find out if I'm pretty sure the heads are going to be warped. We need to find out if the block's warped. If the block is warped, we got to take this whole thing out.
Block is warped.
Which he's already aware of, but if it's just the heads, I think we're going to do the same thing we did with the Z32 and just take the heads off, stuff everything back in enough to let it roll out.
This one's going to be a pain to bolt.
Yeah, I know, but it's...
I know.
Yeah, it's
spending, half a day doing it and then a couple weeks on the lift.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it sucks, but... So what did you end up doing to get it to clear past this? You just...
This bushing, I pulled it out of the car. It slips out.
Oh, okay.
And then it gave me so much more room.
Yeah, cool.
And I just popped it back in.
Okay. Nice. A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we got it torn down almost to the heads. I think the only thing that's going to matter on the cams is how they're splined in, and if they're, I think that one's spring-loaded, like the Lexus.
Sure it is, yeah.
There's probably a lock bolt. Yeah, see, there's a threaded hole back there, like on the Toyota UZ engine.
Yeah.
Probably just have to jam a bolt in there to keep it locked.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look it all up in the morning.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Ooh, that knock sensor should probably get replaced.
Dude, yeah, I looked at that thing.
Nice.
I know you said that they're usually a one wire, but why is there two wires going to the connector?
It might be a shield drain.
Okay, shielded wire.
That's how the 300ZX is. It's a shield drain.
Yeah, that's where I got confused last time too.
Yeah. Cool.
We got Austin's probe heads off right there. Searching for the head gasket failure. So this side looks okay. I don't necessarily notice anything. All the pistons are roughly the same color. There's no clean spots. Typically there's a clean spot where it's burning the coolant. But on this side, you can tell that one's quite a bit lighter. And then also, we noticed right there looks a little burnt, a little gone through right there. Somewhere right along this edge is where we're thinking it let go.
So what we found so far, so this line was also kinked. So it's mounted to the cylinder head like that. You can see it's kinked. So that was another area of restriction along with the stupid stuff we found in the... He says this motor's been built before, but I don't know what, I mean, well, how do you constitute built, right?
I wanted to show you the bottom of the head too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a few things.
You may have to get a scraper and scrape off.
I already did. I used a well, I only did this part.
Well, because we got to check this way and that way too.
Okay.
For warpage.
Okay.
You're gonna hold it flat.
Yeah. So this is the one that I saw the most amount of light through.
How much is that?
That's 3.
Okay, yeah. So I bet 4 would fit.
All right, 4,000. Yeah, it goes.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a little snug.
Tight. Yeah.
But I can make it go.
All right. I'm curious to see how. So overall, what's your impression on this thing? Do you feel like somebody, for the most part, knew what they were doing, but there's room to be improvement, or was it total incompetence?
For the most part, it was pretty decently built.
Okay.
But there's a few kinked hoses.
Yeah.
Like, just minor things.
Alright, let's see what we got.
This is, oh, this is mine. Alright, so here's 3,000. Oh,
That's a good sign.
yeah. Okay.
Try on this end.
Which end?
That one.
This one?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so see, that's where you can get excessive warp crossways too. That's 3.
It like starts and then it stops.
And then check on the corners.
No, it's just right there.
And it's pretty tight. So
It's snug, yeah.
No reason to check with a 4,000ths.
It kind of catches just a tiny bit. How it was. I had to get over. I couldn't fucking see. Right there, but
yeah. All right. I mean, there's no sense in even checking the front side. The block has to get machined regardless.
yeah.
Okay. Well, sorry, Austin. I'm gonna have to give you bad news. But you know, honestly, it may end up being a good thing.
Yeah.
Because who knows what we're gonna find in this oil pan.
Well, and the cooling system. I'm worried about that.
Well, we're gonna be yanking the engine and stripping it down to bare block.
You saw that?
What?
How loose that was?
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
Nice. We got it on film too.
Yeah.
We're stripping it down to bare block, and we're gonna have the deck surface machined and see what was done right, what wasn't done right. Ending April 2025 and moving into May. The Celine is fully dyno tuned. It's got the 411 gear swap. It's running really good. I need to wash it, but we're basically in quality control mode at this point. That's pretty much what's going on with that. The FTO, this guy towed this in from Waco. I guess he found us on Google because we've been working on quite a few JDM cars this year. And so we don't really shy away from these as long as we can find parts and service materials and, you know, no crazy special tooling. But this thing is basically a 2-liter variant of the Mitsubishi 2.5 and 3-liter dual cam engines that were offered here stateside. Also really close to the Chrysler V6 engines when it was DSM, Diamond Star Motors. That was a joint venture between Mitsubishi and Chrysler. So this is a 97 split ear, and it's got a upper end lifter tick. So we wrote them an estimate for the OEM lifters. If they are the factory ones, have a 1mm orifice, and we found an OEM part number which is a 3mm upgrade that solves a lot of the flow issues because they get clogged and they can't clear properly because the orifice is so small. So you upgrade to a 3mm orifice and it solves the problem. So I've got to order those today. I got to order all the gaskets. Pretty sure almost all of them are JDM, but I'm going to call the Mitsubishi dealer up the street, see if any of it's available stateside. So we're going to start with basically putting 24 new hydraulic lifters, fresh change of oil, see what happens. As always, thank you guys for watching, subscribing. If you're not aware, we send out a monthly newsletter now to update everybody with any current products, any current sales that we have, because our vendors do provide sales throughout the year, and we like to pass that savings on to our customers. So if you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, go to our website, sign up for our newsletter. You should automatically get it if you've purchased from us before, but if you've never bought from us before, sign up for that newsletter. Also, don't snooze on our eBay store. If you're looking for used parts and other stuff to DIY, rebuild your Datsun, want a good deal on something used, got a ton of used parts sitting upstairs, and I'm slowly listing them on eBay. So check out our eBay store. Don't forget our Amazon store as well. There's a lot of cool things that we keep on our Amazon store, supporting products for our in-house made products. And then lastly, check out our merch. We got quite a few cool things going on. The LED sign that we keep in the office, we actually now offer the Nissan version. Check that out. Help us with our brand recognition, buy some t-shirts, some coffee mugs, stickers, whatever. Help us support our brand and grow it. And outside from that, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, share our videos, comment, tell your friends. And we'll see you guys next month.